Hey everyone, in this video, we're diving into the incredible legacy of Miriam Makeba, better known as Mama Africa, a singer, a revolutionary, and an icon whose powerful voice resonated far beyond South Africa. From her unforgettable hits like Pata Pata to her unwavering fight against apartheid, Makeba's music blended the soul of Africa with the world stage. But it wasn't just her voice that made her famous. She became a global symbol for change, using her platform to speak out for justice and equality. Zenzile Miriam Makeba. She was born on the 4th of March 1932 in Johannesburg to Swazi and Xhosa parents. She was nicknamed Mama Africa. She was a South African singer, songwriter, actress, and civil rights activist. Associated with musical genres including Afropop, jazz, and world music, she was an advocate against apartheid and white minority government in South Africa. Makeba was forced to find employment as a child after the death of her father. She had a brief and allegedly abusive first marriage at the age of 17, gave birth to her only child in 1950, and survived breast cancer. Her vocal talent had been recognized when she was a child, and she began singing professionally in the 1950s with the Cuban Brothers, the Manhattan Brothers, and an all-woman group, the Skylarks, performing a mixture of jazz, traditional African melodies, and Western popular music. In 1959, Makeba had a brief role in the anti-apartheid film Come Back Africa, which brought her international attention and led to her performing in Venice, London, and New York City. In London, she met the American singer Harry Belafonte, who became a mentor and colleague. She moved to New York City, where she became immediately popular and recorded her first solo album in 1960. Her attempt to return to South Africa that year for her mother's funeral was prevented by the country's government. As she grew older, her voice became both an escape and a means of empowerment. She began singing in local choirs, and her exceptional talent quickly gained recognition in South Africa's music industry. Miriam's voice was not only beautiful, it served as a form of resistance. She performed traditional South African songs, as well as jazz and pop music that resonated with the struggles of her community. Her major breakthrough occurred in the 1950s when she joined the African Jazz and Variety Show, where her powerful voice and engaging stage presence propelled her to stardom. However, it was her 1956 album that earned her international acclaim. This success, however, came with consequences, as her vocal opposition to apartheid made her a target for the South African government. In 1960, after addressing the United Nations about the atrocities of apartheid, she was banned from returning to her home country. While in exile, her fame continued to rise. She performed globally, using her music to highlight the injustices faced by Black South Africans. Her 1967 hit, Pata Pata, became a worldwide sensation, and she traveled extensively, spreading her message of freedom and unity. Throughout the years, she remained committed to fighting for justice. She returned to South Africa in 1990, following Nelson Mandela's release from prison, and performed at his first public appearance, a moment of great joy for both her and the nation. Miriam Makeba's dedication to human rights never faltered, and she continued to advocate against injustice until her passing in 2008. Miriam Makeba's musical legacy is filled with impactful songs that not only highlight her remarkable vocal abilities, but also convey themes of resistance, unity, and hope. Here are some of her most celebrated and iconic tracks. 1. Pata Pata, 1967. Possibly her most well-known song, Pata Pata became a worldwide sensation. This lively, rhythmic dance tune showcases her distinctive style by merging African beats with jazz elements. Its catchy chorus and vibrant energy turned it into a global anthem. 2. The Click Song, 1960. Recognized for its unique incorporation of clicks from various African languages, the Click Song is one of Makeba's hallmark pieces. It joyfully celebrates African culture and highlights the rich linguistic diversity of her homeland. 3. Malika, 1945. Although not originally written by Makeba, her interpretation of this Swahili ballad is one of the most cherished versions. Malika, which means angel, narrates a tale of love, yearning, and separation, and Makeba's emotional delivery has made it a timeless classic. 4th, Soweto Blues, 1973. Composed and performed during her exile, Soweto Blues serves as a powerful protest song in response to the 1976 Soweto uprising. It poignantly calls for justice and reflects the harsh realities faced by South African youth under apartheid. 5. Indo Demnyama, 1974. This deeply moving and powerful song is an anthem of resilience. It embodies Makeba's roots and her fight against apartheid, using music as a tool for empowerment. 6. For What It's Worth, 1968. Makeba's version of the Buffalo Springfield classic introduced a unique political perspective to the song, originally a protest anthem about social unrest in the U.S. She infused it with her own messages of peace and social justice. 7. Amandla, 1985. Amandla, meaning power, served as an anthem for the South African liberation movement. It honors the resilience of the people and their ability to resist oppression. 8. Konkothwane. This is another rendition of the click song, Chonkothwine, which exemplifies Makeba's strong ties to her African heritage, highlighting her remarkable vocal abilities and the traditional African sounds she incorporated into her music. 9. Exile, 1973. Exile reflects Makeba's personal experiences as she was compelled to live away from her homeland due to her vocal opposition to apartheid. The song conveys the sorrow of being separated from her country while still embodying its spirit. 10. Bajabula Bonke, 1974. This impactful anti-apartheid song, Bajabula Bonke, was part of Makeba's musical resistance. Its title translates to "They Have Healed Everyone," addressing the healing of a fractured South Africa in the shared fight for freedom. These songs showcase Miriam Makeba's remarkable talent for merging cultural traditions with modern music while delivering powerful messages of freedom, love, and justice. She remains a global icon whose music continues to motivate future generations. Miriam Makeba's life exemplified the power of music as both an art form and a means of activism. Her voice became a symbol of resistance, a connector of cultures, and a source of hope for those aspiring to a world free from oppression. Makeba married Carmichael in March 1968. This caused her popularity in the U.S. to decline markedly. Conservatives came to regard her as a militant and an extremist, an image that alienated much of her fan base. Her performances were canceled and her coverage in the press declined despite her efforts to portray her marriage as apolitical. White American audiences stopped supporting her, and the U.S. government took an interest in her activities. The Central Intelligence Agency began following her and placed hidden microphones in her apartment. The Federal Bureau of Investigation also placed her under surveillance. While she and her husband were traveling in the Bahamas, she was banned from returning to the U.S. and was refused a visa. As a result, the couple moved to Guinea, where Carmichael changed his name to Kwame Ture. Makeba did not return to the U.S. until 1987. Makeba's daughter died in childbirth in 1985. Makeba was left responsible for her 2 surviving grandchildren and decided to move out of Guinea, which had become less hospitable to her after Touré's death the previous year and the military coup that followed. She settled in the Woluwe-Saint-Lambert district of the Belgian capital Brussels. In the following year, Masekela introduced Makeba to Paul Simon, and a few months later she embarked on Simon's very successful Graceland tour. The tour concluded with 2 concerts held in Harare, Zimbabwe, which were filmed in 1987 for release as Graceland, the African concert. Makeba fractured her leg while on tour, but continued to perform from a wheelchair. Her involvement with Simon caused controversy. Graceland had been recorded in South Africa, breaking the cultural boycott of the country, and thus Makeba's participation in the tour was regarded as contravening the boycott, which Makeba herself endorsed. After touring the world with Simon, Warner Brothers Records signed Makeba, and she released Sangoma, Healer, an album of healing chants named in honor of her Sangoma mother. Makeba was among the most visible Africans in the U.S. As a result, she was often emblematic of the continent of Africa for Americans. Her music earned her the moniker Mama Africa, and she was variously described as the Empress of African Song, the Queen of South African Music, and Africa's first superstar. Music scholar J.U. Jacobs said that Makeba's music had both been shaped by and given shape to Black South African and American music. The jazz musician Abbey Lincoln is among those identified as being influenced by Makeba. Makeba and Simone were among a group of artists who helped shape soul music. Longtime collaborator Belafonte called her the most revolutionary new talent to appear in any medium in the last decade. Speaking after her death, Mandela called her South Africa's First Lady of Song and said that her music inspired a powerful sense of hope in all of us. Thanks for watching. Miriam Makeba's music and legacy continue to inspire generations around the world, proving that one voice can change the course of history. If you enjoyed learning about Mama Africa, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more inspiring stories. Drop a comment and let us know which Miriam Makeba song is your favorite. See you next time. Keep the spirit of change alive.